All right. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Not good morning. It's Matt Braden here from the GPAR professional staff. Welcome to our All About HUD workshop. We're so glad to see so many folks here with us today. We're grateful for Ron, Hana, Bill, Kevin for helping us out with today. A whole lot of stuff to learn. It's interactive. There's some opportunities. Also, too, you might actually be able to win something, as Ron was just trying to talk about there a moment ago from our buddy Ben, and you guys will all get connected with Ben in a short amount of time as well. So again, thank you all for tuning in and joining us today. Ron, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Matt. Hello to the United States. Okay, this is our 250th seminar that we've had, probably one of the most important ones, for the simple reason is HUD has changed some of the guidelines and some of the financing guidelines. This is really a 3.5-hour show, but we had to cut it to an hour and a half, and then we have another half hour of door prizes. I teach this course for continuing ed in New Jersey, and that's the reason it's 3.5 hours. It's being recorded. It will be available to you. It'll be on YouTube, and Matt will post I think he will. Matt, are you going to post the link, or is that later on?
Yep, we'll post the link.
Okay. Okay, that's roll. Who's here? We got 105 people, which is cool. And we go. Okay. This is how to successfully sell HUD homes. Guaranteed, if you pay attention, you'll make some money. Now, a lot of the listing brokers from RAIN are on here. Feel free to use our PowerPoint. It took a long, long time to make it. And I don't know if RAIN is really coming out with their own, but this is a generic PowerPoint. It's good for every state. And that's it. If you have any questions, there's a question in the screen there. You can ask it there, and make sure you know where the chat button is, because when we have our flash quizzes, first one in gets it. Make sure that we get your name and your email if you're going to win. Okay, who can buy a HUD home? Actually, anyone who can afford it. There's investors, there's owner occupants, so on and so forth. The benefits of buying a HUD home: you need a little money down. In some states, it's only $100 down that you need. In the other states, it's 3.5% down. Field service manager is the one contracted by HUD to maintain the properties. Now, to those out there that are not a listing broker, if you go into a house and you find the door open, do not enter the property. Call the listing broker, let them know the police have to come in and walk the property. If you go into a property and you find that the radiator broke and there's oil all over the floor, like in one of our properties that just happened last week, please report it back to the listing broker. We appreciate it. More eyes out there, the better we can service you. The asset manager is the one that controls the properties in their particular area. I'm going to explain what a HUD house is real simple. Hypothetically, let's say that, I can't mention names, but let's say the lender that has the horse and carriage did a mortgage on a loan. The people didn't pay, so the people don't stay, and they got foreclosed on. The lender takes the deed, sends the deed to HUD. HUD writes a check for exactly what the lender is owed, and there is your HUD house. HUD will then distribute the properties to the asset managers, who in turn will distribute the properties to the listing brokers. Now, it could be a single house, it could be a townhouse, a condominium, whatever it is. Moving on. Individuals and investors, nonprofits or government entities. I've been doing HUD properties for 21 years. Kevin, how long you been doing them? You're on mute. There you
Oh,
go.
there we go.
Yeah,
I've been working with HUD for 27 years.
27 years. Kevin was a contract manager in many states and one of the more knowledgeable people in the business.
Thank you.
You're welcome. In all the years I've been doing HUD, I have never sold a property to a nonprofit or a government entity, ever. It just never comes up. Nonprofits have no money, and the government entities aren't buying them. Who can secure a loan? Anyone really that qualifies. You have to have a pre-qualification lender or proof of funds in order to place a bid. At least you should. On the weekends, sometimes we'll let it ride because we have to get the bid in and the bid's on a deadline. Now, priorities are given to owner occupants over investors. That's really important. I know Kevin and Bill, myself, we've had problems with investors trying to buy a property as an owner occupant. And we all know we can never question the honesty of a client or the authenticity of what they're telling us. You're going to live in the house, right? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Good. You know, you have to live there for at least a year. Yep. You know, you have to have your credit cards, your driver's license, your insurance registration, and your car insurance all registered on this address. You know that, right? Yep. Good. Then you won't have any problem signing the government affidavit at settlement that should you not be telling the truth and you're really an investor buying it as an owner occupant, there is the distinct possibility that HUD will fine you $250,000 plus a 2-year vacation for frauding the government. Now, if the person signs that affidavit, fine, good, all well and good. You got an owner occupant. If they're not going to sign it, then just move on to the next buyer.
Hey, Ron, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
In regards to that 12-month, let's say the person purchased it and hopes to live there, but after that first year, they decide that the values have gone up so much that they do sell it, take a profit, and then ultimately buy another house or use that money as
They can do whatever they want after that first year, as long as they're there for a 12-month period. That's it. Goodbye. See you later.
Well, with extenuating circumstances.
The voice of reason.
Yep, with extenuating circumstances, and you're going to need valid proof if they call you out on it. If you get relocated by your job. HUD will allow you to sell the property within that year. But if you bought it, fixed it, never moved into it, never had anything registered at the property, and all of a sudden 6 months later you say you're selling the property because you've been relocated, you better be relocating. And there's other circumstances as well, but they look for it. They look for the red flag, and they will come and get you if you lie.
Is that a
Absolutely.
new rule right there, as far as street, those actual circumstances? Since we just had COVID, the pandemic, is that something new that they're doing, or that's always been that way?
It's always been that way, because there are circumstances that do come up to where people need to move. But they do look for certain things. If the people never moved into the property, they rehabbed it, and all of a sudden they have a certain circumstance that requires them to sell the property, then they may look into it deeper. What a lot of people don't realize is the government does have a database system. They know everything. So if you buy another house, even if it's not another HUD house, they know. If you are registered as living at another property as your primary residence, like someone had quoted, they put a note in there on your tax returns, and the other property is their primary residence, and then all of a sudden you sell the HUD home, it's in there, and they do have flags for that stuff. So as Ron said, you be very specific with these people. They will get nabbed. They will get a $250,000 fine, and they will go to college for 2 years.
Yeah, that's true. They were making a living out of it out in Vegas because the agents were telling the buyer, they were buying second homes. And they thought that they could make a second home as a primary, but you can't. You can only have one primary. So there was a lot of trouble out there. Anyway, we'll go back to a level playing field. In today's market, it is almost impossible. And we have folks on here from all over the United States, and I'm sure everyone's going to agree, it's almost impossible to sell a house FHA and get seller assist and get a home inspection and close the sale. It's impossible because there's just not that much inventory. And the only level playing field out there right now, in my opinion, maybe Kevin and Bill have other opinions, but in my opinion, are the HUD properties. Because not only does HUD encourage you to use an FHA mortgage, they will even give you a bonus as a selling agent of $500 if you do a 203K, which we'll go over later. So you'll get your regular commission, whatever it might be, because remember, all commissions are negotiable. But they will pay up to 3% on the commission. They will pay up to 3% on the closing costs. They encourage you, in fact, it's part of the contract, for your protection, get a home inspection. There it is. I mean, there's only one thing that's going to determine whether you are the winning bidder. And that is high bid wins, high net bid wins, and everyone else loses. Now, there's a little check mark on the agreement of sale that Hana will go over. It says you may use this as a backup bid. Well, I'd say about 20%, maybe 25% of the sales blow out for one reason or another. And it's either financing, the buyer gets cold feet, property doesn't appraise, whatever the situation is. We've already won a backup bid in 5th position. which means there was an original winner and 4 other backups that didn't want the house. We were number 5. We took it. Might take a while, but it works. Now you have to remember that HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing costs, but you have to ask for it in the contract. If you do not ask for it, you don't get it. Also keep in mind that 3% will reduce your net, which could cost you the deal. So if somebody comes in and bids 100,000 with 3% seller assist, just rounding it off, and I come in and I bid 98,000, my 98 is going to beat your 100. I'll give you a couple seconds to think about that, because I didn't ask for a seller assist, where you asked for the 3% and that knocked you out of the box. We also encourage when you, and this is just Hana and my idea of what we came up with years ago, do not bid even numbers. The house is 100, you might want to bid $100,362.44. And we've won a bid for a difference of $5. Now, I'm glad I wasn't on the other end with the other agent who put the bid in, who lost the bid for $5. But never go even money. Always go odd money. All condominiums probably are approved. But what we're going to do now, Hannah, are you ready for an agreement of sale?
Sure, if you want to jump ahead, we can do that.
Yeah, you
Give
want
me
to
a minute to get it up on the
You
screen.
want to be now? This is Hannah. Hannah is my partner. Hannah's been in the business all of 3 years, is it?
No, I'm hitting 6 this year.
6 years. Wow, time.
6 years this year.
Anyway, Hannah was Rookie of the Year 6 years ago. When she first started, she figured, oh, I'd like to work with Ron. He seems crazy enough.
Yeah.
She was encouraged not to work with me because I'm sort of different. Anyway, the first month, she hung around me, and basically we were attached at the hip. Second month, she sold 10 HUD houses in 1 month. Got recognized by the asset manager that they don't know anyone who have sold 10 HUD houses in 1 month. But you have to remember that was back when we had inventory. She would have sold 12, but she couldn't close on 2 of them. And she was more aggravated that she couldn't close the 2 that she lost. But anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to place a live bid. And why we do this, there are so many agents, and including listing brokers, that have never placed a HUD bid, ever. And I know this for a fact because I get questions on it on a daily basis. So there's certain things that you need to place a bid. Be ready on the chat line. HUD has a NAID that you have to have. First person who answers the question correctly, what does the NAID mean, wins a $25 Amazon Prime gift certificate.
Name, address, identification number.
Who said it?
John Szymanski.
John
Gotta
Szymanski.
drop it in the chat. It's gotta go in the chat.
Gotta
Oh,
go to the chat.
oh,
Yeah,
I didn't
Jennifer
know that.
definitely got it. Jennifer got it.
All right.
Well, we
She
have,
was super fast though. It was like, as soon as he said it, she popped it in as I was typing. I was like, damn, that's good.
okay,
Really, Jennifer.
okay, who was the winner?
Name and address identifier. Does that work for you?
That is correct.
All right, Jennifer Krasinski. Am I presenting that right? Jennifer, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes, you are. Very good.
Jennifer, there we
Jennifer
go.
Krasinski. Thank
Wait,
you. I'm very
wait, she's a
excited.
Buckeyes fan. No.
Yeah, my husband is. Don't hold it against me now.
Okay, all right, there we go. There's our winner. Chicken dinner.
Okay, Jennifer, you have to let
Thank
Pat
you.
know where to send it. You have to let Matt know where we're going to send the gift certificate to. Right, all I need is your email because it'll come right from Amazon.
All right, I will just pop it into the chat, okay?
Okay,
Yeah, send a direct message to me, Jennifer. Thanks.
you see, Matt, it's good. You should be one of the referees at the football game after those playoff games, let me tell you.
My vision's too good.
Well, I took Cincy in the points. So, Hannah, time's yours.
All right, so we are on the website, hudhomestore.gov. It used to be .com. If you type it in now, it'll still switch you over. So the website should always look like this, and it should never ask you for any money to look at a listing, to find a list of houses near you, because there are a lot of websites out there that take your money just to give you information, and HUD does not do that. So on here, we can go through any of the states and look and see what's available. If they are a light color blue, there's nothing available, but the dark ones all have houses currently on the market. Ron and I do Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I know we have quite a few in New Jersey right now all over the place. So you can click on that link on the map and you can see whatever is available in that city. And if you want to go specific, you can go county and type it into the box, or you can drop down any of these menus to get something more specific if you don't like what you see. All right, so let's just pick, let's do this one in Butler. So if you see, I click the case number brings you to the specific property page, and you can go through all the photos, you can read through all the property information. A very important thing is over here, the period deadline tells you when the bidding is open until. This one, the period deadline is March 6th. So you have until then to place your bids. Right now it's in exclusive listing period, which means it's owner occupants only. So an investor will not be able to buy this property until it gets past this point without any winning bids. Down here are your options. If it's a buyer, they can find a broker, or down here you can submit a bid. And then at the top here, all the tabs give you all the extra information. So we like to tell everybody go to addendums and then look for the property condition report right here. This is going to tell you what was tested in the house and whether or not it passed. So this one shows on this house, the cooling and air conditioning was not available to be tested. The electrical testing was okay. The power was on when they tested it. You can go through this for each house. They're all going to be slightly different. You know, if something's unavailable, or like in this situation, the plumbing was damaged, so they were not able to test it. And that's all information you want to make sure you or your buyer have before you place a bid. Because even if you get that home inspection report and it tells you there's 42 things wrong with the house, once you put that bid in, that's the amount you've bid for. You can't renegotiate after the fact. So if you want to reduce the price because of all the damage, you need to make sure you do it ahead of time. All right, so we'll go back to here and we will submit an offer. So it's going to pop you on, and immediately there's a whole bunch of red things to read. It's going to tell you that you only have 15 minutes to complete your bid. It's really easy. Ron, how many questions are there? 12?
13.
13. Okay, so as
Kevin,
long as
mind
you
if I ask a
have,
question.
no, go ahead.
I just want to ask a question about the previous page on the condition report. If one of those conditions are said to be not actually accurate, would HUD then go ahead and modify the bid themselves as far as what you discovered? So let's say, for
I'll
example,
I'll cut you real short, Javier. No. Okay,
so they wouldn't do it.
No, do me a favor and hold your questions till we've done this little thingy and then we'll take them all, okay? No,
That's right. So the price that you put in, no matter what, is going to be the bid. All the information that they give you is for informational purposes only. So even if something is found to be incorrect, it's your responsibility to go do an inspection and do whatever you have to do before you place that bid. So as much as it would be wonderful if they would, lower the price a little bit, it's not going to happen. Okay, so we're going to go through here and it's going to ask you a few questions. What type of name do you have? Are you a government agency, a nonprofit, or a selling broker? Then I have to enter your NAID number and your license number. Once you start and get to this screen, the countdown starts. The only way I've ever timed out is by getting a phone call and forgetting I'm in the bid. Other than that, you're totally fine. The only thing different that you have to have for a HUD bid that you don't have for most retail transactions is the social security number or the EIN number. So as long as you are aware of that and you have it ahead of time, you'll have all the information you need. All right, so we're going to put a low offer on this so we make sure we don't win. I did that too fast. When you hit tab, if you look down here, it auto populates. So it's going to tell you what the commissions are down here. Sometimes in different Internet Explorers versus Google Chrome, it won't populate down here and then you'll have to do it yourself. And if you do the math wrong, the form will tell you you're wrong, but they won't tell you the right answer. So you kind of have to play with the numbers. All right, so then the next thing you're going to put in is how you're paying, what type of financing, or if you're going to pay cash. This is the spot you put in right here, number 5, if you want to ask for closing costs. You have to put in the actual number. You can't put in a percentage. So you have to do your math backwards and make sure you get your 3% out of your closing costs. And if you don't want to, you can do a 0 or nothing at all and just move on. So this will show you your net amount. So if I had put in $5,000, it changes my net here. So if you want to know what your net bid is going to be that everybody else is competing with, always look at line 7. If it's something where you want to make sure it lands at 210, then you're going to raise your price to be equal to what your closing costs are. You're going to mess with it a little bit because of the commissions, but that way it gives you an idea of where you're at. Right now, since we're in exclusive period only, the owner occupant is the only one that's allowed. You can't click anything else. And this is that spot Ron was saying, number 10, if the seller does not accept this offer or does not accept this offer, may they hold it as a backup offer or not? So the top one is going to say yes, the bottom one is going to say no. We always do yes, because even if the property is under contract for a month or 2 and then it falls out, for you to get that phone call and call that buyer that didn't win and say, hey, we have a second chance, we got the property, do you still want it? Especially in a market today, there's so little property available. Some people might still be in the market in a month. They might still be ready to jump on that property. All right, so the next 2 questions are going to specify whether or not you work for HUD or any affiliated listing broker, asset manager, and anything in the like. If you work for any affiliated company, you cannot buy. So for example, me, Ron, Kevin, none of us can buy HUD homes. None of our family members that are, living in our households can buy HUD homes. Husbands and wives cannot buy HUD homes. We are just kind of not allowed to be one of the chosen few. So you're going to answer these questions for your buyer. And when you get down here, this is all the personal information. So you have to see, this is what you need: your social security number, name, address, city, state, zip. Email is super important because everything is done through e-signature. So you want to make sure and double check that the email address you put in is correct. If you put in the wrong email address, no one is going to get the contract and it's quite a pain in the butt. So let's fill in so we can move forward. So again, you're going to check and make sure your email is correct, and then enter your cell number so that you have it. Next step, if you have an additional purchaser, if it's a couple that's buying it, or you just have to click here to add the next purchaser and all the same information for them. And then you're going to choose your title company. Most of them are already on the list. So if you know, let's say like Emerald Title, they're all going to start popping up and you can just click from the list. If it's not in there, it's not a big deal. Just type in all the information and go through, and eventually it will get added. But they're going to give the list of the escrow officers, the backup officers, and all this. All right. So this is going to be your broker information. All right. And then we're going to go through all this. And if we missed anything, it's going to tell us right away. You can see we have 10 minutes left. I'm going to hit continue and see if we get through. Okay. So the next screen is the summary. It's going to say, hey, make sure every single thing is correct. You're going to go through, make sure your bid's correct, make sure your selling commission is correct, and just kind of take that extra minute, because even though you can change it later, it's a little bit more difficult to go back in, log in, and fix everything. They're going to read all the HUD certifications and the terms and conditions and check that you've agreed. And then you're going to confirm the bid. This is so important. The confirmation number here you need to keep. It is very, very rare circumstance, but Ron and I have been in the position where we have placed a bid. HUD servers have gone down for some who knows why circumstance, and somebody else won. And we knew that our bidder should have won. We had this confirmation number and we were able to email over to HUD and say, hey, we have this, we placed this bid. They found it, and then we were able to resubmit, re-get our bidder to win. If you don't have proof that the bid was submitted, there's nothing you can do about it. So always print the bid acknowledgement and keep it and give it to everybody involved so that everybody has a copy. All right, Ron, what do you want to do next?
That's it, basically on the agreement of sale. Now, I can just speak for New Jersey and Pennsylvania. I know the Pennsylvania agreement of sale has 752 lines last time I checked. Okay. 13. Which would you rather sell? I'd rather, it took Hana exactly 7.5 minutes, and she had plenty time left over to place the agreement of sale. If you do make a mistake, and we all make mistakes, some of us more than others. There was a co-op agent that, I don't know if they're on, but I won't mention names, that out of the 13 lines, she got 9 of them wrong, including the buyer's name. She reversed the address. It was just really all messed up. Her bid was accepted. Then she had to have corrections, and they gave her 24 hours to make the corrections. Well, she made half of them right, and she still made half wrong. Then they gave her another 24 hours to make those corrections. I called her up and I asked her, Nancy, not your Nancy, Kevin, but her name was Nancy. Nancy, is there anything I can do to help you get this contract correct? And she hung up on me. She said, you think I'm stupid? I don't know what I'm doing. And we've all spoke to, people like that. So I just let it go. And I'm not going to get into an argument. She answered her own question. So that was the way I felt.
Hey, Ron, someone in the chat asked if you can go over again who is not allowed to buy HUD houses.
Yeah, well, there was a question that popped up there. Help me out if I did, because I was reading it pretty quick. That if my adult son wants to buy the house, the answer is, I don't know. Are you a listing broker? If the answer is yes, I am a listing broker, then the answer is no, your adult son cannot buy the house. Now, here's a little tip that you might want to use as far as investors and owner occupants. Hannah and myself had multiple people call. They want to get their kids out of the house. They will do anything to get their kids out of the house. So they see the ad, they call me up, and I qualify them on the phone. I explain it's a HUD house, it's sold as is, blah, 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 blah. Will you be living in it? Well, no, I'm not. My son is. Oh, okay. HUD considers you an investor. So the answer is no, you cannot place a bid until day 16. Well, we all know it's not going to last till to day 16. I said, well, why don't you do this? And all the mortgage companies that we work with allow it, as do the title companies. You take the son or the daughter or whoever, you put them as the primary buyer. You use mom and dad as the second and third buyer, non-occupants for financing purposes only. So we abide by the rules. We have an owner occupant in there, and everything is up on the board. The title company will draw up the deed with the son as as the owner, along with the mother and the father. Most lenders will go along with that, mainly because they need a co-signer. So there is just another way of putting together a couple more transactions that you didn't think you'd be able to do. All right, are we done with this? That's cancel the bid.
Yeah, I would say while we're here, let's cancel the bid. I don't want to win this house by accident. So as it says right here, in order to modify the bid, withdraw the bid, or check the status, you just have to log on. I jumped through the process because obviously I already have a login, but if you don't have one and you register before the bid, either way, you will have all of your information. So when you log back in, it's going to take you to a main screen and you have to have some information. You can type in your confirmation number, the property number, the case number, whatever you have. And then you're going to search for it and find it in your list. All right, so today's bid, I'm going to click on the confirmation number. And it's going to bring you back to all the bid details. Eventually. It's very slow right now. Okay. So you have all your information here. You can either go through and edit it, or you can cancel it altogether. You're going to decide down here. If you want to modify the bid, you can click here and you can go through and change everything individually. And you can start the whole process over. And then when you're done, you're just going to continue. If you want to withdraw the bid, let's go back and I'll show you. I go back again. Sorry, it's super laggy. All right, so then we're going to go to the bottom and just click this button here that says withdraw bid. Let's go to the bottom. It's going to ask, are you sure? And hit yes, you want to withdraw the bid. Just like in the original bid placement, you're going to get a confirmation. Always keep it in the back just in case, that way you have it. And it's that easy.
Great. Okay, I'm going to open it up for a few questions about placing the bid. Anyone have any questions? Just open the mic up. So everybody knows how to place a bid. Good.
Hey, Ron,
Yes.
back in the day, the confirmation numbers, last two digits were an indicator of how many bids they had. Is that the case still?
I don't know. I didn't even know that.
Hey, do I
Hey.
win anything?
How about that?
Ed, no,
Thank you, Pete.
they caught up with that
Damn it.
years ago,
Well,
years
people,
ago,
people would have
back in
found that out.
2013.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. But, oh, Hannah, one other thing,
Yeah,
right? Anyone can get in after the property is sold on bid results.
After the contract signed for 2 weeks,
Yes.
they can see the selling broker and the net dollars to HUD.
Right. I had a few arguments with some of my clients that their bid won. And I said, well, your net bid lost
Right.
because you asked for
Closing costs.
seller assist. But don't worry, you might have a shot for it later on down the line.
Two
I ha-
other things, Ron, two other things on when you go in to modify your bid now, once you modify it and update the numbers, you'll get a new confirmation number and the prior confirmation number will be automatically withdrawn. You don't need to do withdraw bid.
Yeah, but see, the problem is we do because our bid remains and we got all kinds of flack that we forgot to withdraw the bid.
Really? Okay.
Well, no, I mean, we're talking about our workshops when we put the bid in. We didn't withdraw it. And unfortunately, we won.
Oh, I get that. Yeah, I get that. But if you're,
we won the
Yeah.
bid. So,
oh God.
it was
now-
one time.
Okay. Well, if that happened on my listing, I'd laugh and say, Ron.
well, it was even funnier
I get it. No,
because
I get you.
yeah, because, we know that we're not allowed to purchase properties.
Yeah.
And we had to write a letter to the asset manager that, we use it as far as our training was concerned. And that letter had to go to HUD because we violated HUD's rules. So it was okay.
Oh, my God.
It was.
Yeah,
it all-
I can see that. No, I thought Hannah was talking about modifying a bid and then she went and withdrew the bid first.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
it's just wow. There was a question that came up on the screen that I think it was asked by the person who wanted to know if their child can purchase it. Then she said, can she purchase it on her name? Well, if you're a listing broker, which I don't know if you are or not, then the answer is no. If you're an agent that does not work for a listing broker, and that's another class we have
Right.
that is also CE certified in New Jersey, of agents buying properties. And we encourage it because then you'll really know how the system works. But as long as you work for a listing broker, you or your immediate family cannot buy anything. How do you know your NAID number? Your broker has it. Ask them for it. Your manager has it. Ask them for it. If they don't have it, or they don't even know what it is, on the HUD Home Store site,
We have slides on how to get a NAID number later in the presentation if you want to go over it then. Or I can
Yeah.
jump ahead in the slides.
now we'll go over it then. We'll just continue on with our program. Okay, so let's get out of here. Is every broker a listing broker? We hope not. No, every broker is not a listing broker. You have to do an RFP. Question. Go to the chat screen because I'm throwing one at Matt. It's not in there. The meaning of an RFP. What does it mean?
Oh,
Who was the first one in, Matt?
No one put in Ron for president.
Who?
Ed Lane, request for proposal.
be careful what you ask for.
Request for proposal. You just can't say, I want to be a listing broker. You have to contact the asset manager. You have to do a request for proposal. It's basically a resume, but really in depth of why the government should pick you to sell their homes. And you should have some experience with dealing with REOs, real estate owned, which are mostly the foreclosures. Problem is that we've encountered over the last 4 or 5 months, there's been a lot of new listing brokers which are not familiar with the process.
Ron, I made a mistake.
Who?
I made a mistake.
Wait a
Beth
minute.
Ross came in before Ed.
Okay, well, upon further review,
Yep, we had to go to the replay.
yep, what was that, about a millisecond?
There we go. Congrats, Beth.
Okay, so who won?
Beth Ross.
Good.
Sorry, Ed.
Maybe the next one Ed gets, I don't know. Okay, Hana, let's continue on. Good. We're going to go over this GNND program. Shame it came up this way, but that was one of my questions, but too bad. But I have another question. HUD pays up to a 3% commission on most of the sales. How much is the commission paid on the Good Neighbor program? And basically, how much does the selling agent get? Put it on the chat. Matt has the answer. First one in, Matt?
What's the answer, Ron?
Nothing. Zero. HUD does not pay a commission on Good Neighbor. Bill Flagg.
So Pete Mamone, I'm not sure if you're pronouncing that right, Pete, but Pete was the first one in, pretty quick on that. Congrats to Pete. Pete, shoot me your email.
Pete needs that Amazon because, you know. Bill Flagg, where are you? I can't see you on my screen.
I'm right here.
Okay,
You want me to take it away?
please.
Okay. Hey, everyone, I'm Bill Flagg. I'm from Scotch Plains in Union County. And I am a state-approved continuing education instructor, and I do a lot of these classes. So thanks, Ron, for inviting me. And I'm just going to cover quickly the benefits of buying a HUD home on the Good Neighbor Next Door program. And most of you probably have not heard of the Good Neighbor Next Door program. And it's a great program that's available only in certain areas for certain buyers. So it's not a common thing that you'll see all the time. All of the homes will be listed on the HUDhomestore.gov website. And you could go on the page, the homepage where you were putting in bids, and there's a link on there that refers to next door. So you could always check it there. The asset manager gives quick responses to bids, typically within 24 hours from the bidding deadline. So that's good. And there's also an owner occupant rehab loan option where they don't need the money to buy and fix the house. They can rehab the home through a 203K loan. It still follows a 3.5% down payment, and all the rest up to the maximum HUD home limits can be financed in the purchase. And did you know if financing is used, then the termite inspection and treatment will be paid for by HUD. The field service manager, the FSM, will only clear the active infestation. And the best bid, and Ron talked about a level playing field, is sealed bids. So when you submit a HUD bid, the only person that's going to see your bid when they open the bid is going to be an asset manager. The listing broker never sees any of the bids. So there's a level playing field, and that's as a selling agent, and especially in this competitive market, that's a very good benefit of selling a HUD home. Can you advance that? Okay, so we're going to cover the lottery and Good Neighbor Next Door program. Certain properties that are noted in the system as being in a lottery area of interest are listed in the lottery program. Properties in designated revitalization areas also are assigned to the lottery program. But you always have to remember, this will only be a one family property. It could be a condo, it could be a single family detached home, but it will never be a multifamily or a mixed use property. It will always be a one family. And these properties are only available for Good Neighbor Next Door program. The HUD approved nonprofit organizations and government entities, which you will never sell to because you can't. The nonprofits and the government entities buy properties directly from HUD. So how you bid on a Good Neighbor Next Door property. It's very important to know that these properties are listed and sold exclusively through the website, and you will not find them on the MLS. So the only way you will know if a property comes up and they're only there for a short period of time is to check the website daily for Good Neighbor Next Door properties. And when you look on the list of properties available on the website, you would focus on lottery. The bidding period would be a lottery. It wouldn't be an owner occupant, and it wouldn't be an investor, it would be a lottery. So you have to submit a full price offer. And when we talk about a lottery, I don't know if any of you in North Jersey remember years ago, Hovnanian had a lottery on a new subdivision of townhomes in Baskin Ridge. It was a very nice area, a very good opportunity, and the prices were low. So everybody, went in and they submitted bids in the lottery, and the winners, would get picked, and then they would go on with their contract. This is the same way. Everybody's bidding the same price. So if it's listed for 200,000, everybody's bidding for 200,000. Okay, so everybody bids the same thing, and they get a number, and the computer selects who's going to win. It's a lottery. It's random by choice. There's no other way of explaining it. But the important thing to know as a selling agent, HUD does not pay any closing costs or commissions for these sales. So neither the listing agent or the selling agent receive a commission unless you sell a property to a Good Neighbor Next Door participant with a separate negotiated commission agreement between you and your buyer. So that means that you're not going to get a commission from HUD, from the seller, but you're going to get a commission from the buyer through that separate negotiated commission agreement. And every buyer is going to pay you your 3% commission. You can advance that, Hannah. Because these properties are available at a 50% discount of the list price. So if the property is being listed for 200, everybody's bidding for 200, and the winner is going to wind up at the end getting it for 100. But again, this property is only available to these 4 different type of buyers: police officers, school teachers, emergency medical techs, and firefighters. Only these 4. So any other class of buyer, if they're not one of these 4, then they're not eligible for the Good Neighbor Next Door program. And the properties must be located in the area or district where the Good Neighbor Next Door participant works or services. So continuing on with the good neighbor next door participation and stipulations. The buyer must meet HUD's eligibility requirements, which means they basically have to be one of those four type of occupant. They have to work in one of those four type of occupations. And then he would sign a second mortgage and a note for the discounted amount of the sale price. So they're going to sign a second mortgage for the discount. So if it was 200, the bid price, the second mortgage will be 100. But no interest payments, no monthly payments or interest are required on the silent second if the buyer fulfills the 3-year occupancy requirement. So it's important to note that the buyer has to stay in the property for 3 years. If they sell the house anytime before the 3 years, then there's a proration done on the amount of the second mortgage and how much they have to pay back. And you have to know that additional addendum are required for these sales, and those addendums will be generated when the package comes for your buyer, when it's approved, and they give you a checklist that will be included in the checklist. But it's important to know that neither the buyer nor his or her spouse may have owned a residential property during the year prior to the date submitting the bid on the home intended to purchase. So they can't have owned the home in the year before. And of course, neither buyer nor his or her spouse may have ever purchased another home under the Good Neighbor Next Door sales program. So this is a one-time opportunity, but it's a great opportunity if you're able to win the lottery. You want me to keep going? Take it.
No, that's about it on the Good Neighbor program.
Okay.
I just want to expound on the negotiated commission. It's all how you present this to the buyer. I'll share with you on the ones that I have sold, what I have used, but all commissions are negotiable, as we know. Now, if it's a $200,000 house, our commission will be $6,000. Correct? I'm speaking to the buyer. However, HUD is saying that you as a police officer or an EMT or a teacher in the fire department, and you have to be full-time, not part-time, will be allowed to purchase this $200,000 home for $100,000, providing you live there 3 years, which you're going to. So what we do as a courtesy is we cut our fee by 50%. So we're going to charge you a $3,000 fee. Do you have a problem with that? And that's really important, because bottom line, buyer doesn't have to pay you a cent. And this is why it said in this PowerPoint, a negotiated commission. I don't even call it a commission. I just call it a fee, because that's exactly what it is. It's a fee. And they're getting something for half price, so we sell it for half price. And if we get it, we get it. We've never had in all the years, and with all the Good Neighbor program properties I've sold, I have never had anyone even question my fee. They bring a gift to the settlement table for me instead of me giving one at the settlement table for them, which I think is really cool. Because where else can you buy a house for half the money? And you can use the $100 down program on this if you want to go with 203K, fix it all up. So they're getting in the house for almost nothing. Plus they're getting it for half price. So who wouldn't pay me a few dollars to put this together? Right? Anyone would, even Bill. Bill, he'd be the first. Ron, you did a great job. Move on. Now, the good neighbor programs, the listing broker, unfortunately, gets paid nothing. Zero. Which we know this going into the contract. It's part of the job. There's not that many of them. We'll be glad to take them. In fact, Hana, you around? We took one that was assigned to us, which was $165,000 property. And it was on the Good Neighbor program. And it sold to 5 different people. And it blew out 5 different times. Last time it blew out, it came back for owner occupants. And we got paid, which is fine. Because Bill, I think the Good Neighbor program timeline is what, 5 days or 7? Well, it's between that. It's either
Yeah,
5.
it's 5 days, 5 days, yeah.
It's 5 days. So
Yeah.
it's on the market for 5 days. And all the bids are open day 6, which we're going to go over that. Do you have anything else to add, Bill, on the Good Neighbor program? Oh, yeah. We had 2 of them blow out because the wife of the police officer owned a house previous 1 year. And you can't do that. So you either get divorced and take her, well, you got to do what you got to do to make the deal go. But HUD goes back, and like Kevin said, they have records of everyone, no matter where it is or what you owned or whatever. They're going to know that you owned a house. And it wasn't my buyer, it was a co-op's buyer. And I told them, I'm sorry, it's not going to work. And there are one or two agents in Philadelphia that previously were in the fire department and the police department, and they specialize on these Good Neighbor programs. They have a list of buyers just waiting to get in. And you can, like Bill said, you cannot bid above the asking price. It has to be the asking price. Well, it's filled in automatically for you. How far back does HUD go to see the records? Kevin, you got that?
They have unlimited timing. They can go back in history forever on somebody's personal records. Now,
Thank you, Kevin.
when I say forever, I mean forever. So, but again, the limitations are you got a year. They just can't have owned for a year.
Okay, good. Okay, Hannah, let's move on. We'll go to the next one.
Excuse
I
me,
have-
before
Sorry,
you
my
move on-
cat keeps running across the text.
before you move on, can you say who qualifies for emergency person?
I'm sorry, what was that question?
Who qualifies for emergency personnel?
Oh, an EMT, working for a city or a governmental agency, not somebody that works in the hospital as an EMT. Now, I was an EMT, volunteer first responder. And as soon as that word came up, volunteer, I was not paid. So therefore, I would not have qualified. But that was a long time ago. My son-in-law is an EMT first responder in New York City. He would qualify because he's working for the city. Kevin, do you have anything to add on that?
Yes, I do.
I know. I could see by your expression.
There should be a bell for this one. So, number one, if there's a state trooper who's an officer, his jurisdiction is the state of New Jersey. Does he qualify to purchase in pretty much any location within the state of New Jersey because that's his jurisdiction?
It's anyone that can do an arrest. Now, here's the problem we had a couple months ago.
Well, if you're a Camden County officer, you can't buy in Gloucester County.
Well, too bad. That's the way it works. Now, we had a prison guard. And this happened on a previous marketing company that they turned him down after we won the bid. And he went directly to HUD and he got the bid because in his contract with the prison, he was authorized to make an arrest. And that's the criteria that if you meet that criteria and you're full-time, you win. If you're on a probationary period with any of the four categories, fire, teacher, police, EMT, you do not qualify until you're off of the probationary period. A question came up, and I'm glad the NAID, the map is still up. Where are these properties found? Well, they're found right on the HUD Home Store site. They will be listed. Right, do you have that? Are you able to click it?
This is a PowerPoint, but if you look underneath
okay.
where I'm
Okay,
circling,
no big deal. Very,
Ron,
yeah.
Under buyer type. Under buyer type is how to find the GNND.
Yeah, but that's a
Okay, that link, yeah.
that's a PowerPoint. We're out of the other thing. The interesting thing about this, these do not appear in the MLS. Unfortunately, a listing broker made a mistake and, excuse me, jumped the gun when they got the listing and they put it right in the MLS. Which if you are a listing broker, you better wait until it appears on the HUD Home Store site and check everything before you put it in your MLS. Now, one of my agents saw it in the MLS and sold it. Well, his own darn fault because he didn't read what he wrote. When he placed the bid, it specifically said 0 commission to the selling agent, 0 commission to the buying agent. And his gripe with everyone was it says in the MLS 3% to the selling agent and 3% to the buying agent. Well, it was a mistake. Mistakes do happen. And, you know, it was a moot argument because he wasn't going to win. And he attended a few classes that we went over the Good Neighbor program. And I gave Rain my guarantee that we would go and spend time on this Good Neighbor program to make sure that everyone out there understands how it works. There are other rules and regulations that give it in writing. It'll take maybe 2-3 weeks for the property to actually go to contract. because from the way I understand it now, HUD is reviewing all the Good Neighbor Program winning bids. And I think they did that when Kevin was running the area also, but more so now that they are checking to make sure you don't own a house or have owned a house in the last year. I don't know why that rule is in there, but it is. So if you're renting, you're fine. If you're living with your parents, you're fine, and everything else like that. Okay. Hana, can you take this?
Is a year 365 days or the last calendar year until December?
I think we lost Ron and I'm not exactly sure. Kevin, do you know?
No, I'm still here. Well, Kevin would know the answer.
Is 1 year 365 days or one calendar year was the question?
We ran it off of the 365 day. Yep, we lost Hannah. And we lost Ron. You're on mute.
I'm here. I have a cat who decides that she keeps needing to come in here. So she keeps running across and messing with my whole screen. Okay, who is covering Nate application? I don't remember where we're at. Ron, are you here?
I think it was Ron.
Ron
All right,
stepped
we
away.
can, yeah, we can jump ahead. Kevin, what were you covering? And I'll find it real quick.
I was covering the importance of choosing the right title company.
I don't even have slides for that, so you're on.
Okay. Well, there's an extreme importance to choosing your title company. Reason being, oh, wait, Ron's pointing at something. We can't hear him, but okay. So why is it important to choose the right title company? Number one, HUD sales are very simple process, but not every title company is familiar with how HUD operates, what HUD's requirements are. Choosing the correct title agency that one has the rapport and the knowledge of what the asset managers are looking for, as well as the mortgagee compliance agency. There's another agency that is involved other than field service management and asset management, and that is the compliance. When there are title issues, everything gets run through mortgagee compliance. They are very specific on the items that they need. Simple printouts do not work. Most title companies are used to getting simple printouts for payoffs, legal issues that have taken place, and everything must go to mortgagee compliance in order to get approved. This is why a lot of you have run into issues where, why is it taking so long to get an answer? Because the title company is providing information to the asset manager is providing the information to mortgagee compliance then makes a decision, but usually gets kicked back. We need this printout instead of that printout. We need a letterhead instead of that. So choosing a title company that actually does handle HUD asset sales is usually your best choice. They all say, we've handled HUD properties. FHA sales are not handling HUD properties. Somebody who is familiar with, has name recognition with somebody specific within the AM, direct communication, and already has the knowledge of what is needed, is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of effort when purchasing a HUD home. So ask your title companies, how many properties have they handled for HUD in the foreclosures? If they can't give you a direct number, chances are they haven't handled too many. They also, the title companies that you choose have to be approved by HUD. They have their own registrations and access into Yardi and and this is really important because we all have seen these low inventories. If they have not handled a HUD property in over a year, they've been removed from the system or need to update their information, or they can't even represent the title. So they need to go through an approval process period. If you have a favorite title company that you use and they have their approvals or had their approvals, tell them to get on their re-evaluation now so that they're ready when you do have closings. So you don't have to wait, because getting their NAID updated, getting their approvals updated could take a month. And a month could knock them out of the contract period or cost the buyer money for extensions, because if they choose the wrong title company, it's their fault, the buyer's fault, and the buyer will have to pay for those extensions. So that is the reason for choosing the right title company. Any questions?
Yeah, I'd like to add something on to that, Kev.
Sure.
And I can only speak for the areas that both Kevin and myself handle, which are Pennsylvania and New Jersey. HUD, being a governmental agency, is exempt from a certificate of occupancy or a use in occupancy or a smoke alarm certification, et cetera, et cetera. They're exempt, period. We've had some situations that the title companies refuse to close on a property unless those inspections were done. And they were making it subject to those. And this was with the previous marketing company. And do you know what their answer was? Go to another title company. When the title company accepts the assignment from the marketing company, there's a whole package that they get. Guaranteed, none of them read it. It's what they're responsible for doing. They're responsible for preparing the deed. They are responsible for getting the water meter readings. They are responsible for getting the tax cert. Usually on a real estate transaction, as a listing broker, as you all know, either you're responsible or the selling agent's responsible. But it's surely not the title company. Now they have all this extra work they have to do. Oh, isn't that a shame? And we've had a settlement delayed 2 weeks now because no one knew that they had to prepare the deed, send it into the Yardi portal. And when I said Yardi portal, they had no idea what I was talking about. Now, when they got the assignment, they at one time, as Kevin said, had their NAID number, the same as us. We have NAID numbers also, to get into the portal. They didn't know how to get into the portal. They didn't even know what the portal was. So, and they profess to be the professionals. Well, things went on and they went on, and finally it closed. And luckily enough, Rain didn't charge the buyer any extension fees. So, but you know, we were 2-3 weeks closing. Let me tell you another little story. I love to tell stories because they're all true. And Kevin he wrote a book on stories. We have one property that Hannah and myself sold. We also listed it $165,000. A nice sale, double pop. I'll tell you how we did it, but not now. The person who has the door prizes for everyone, we made a lot of money from him. I feel bad. I do, because he didn't expect this crowd that we have today. He figured, oh, there'll be like 20, 30 people. No, there's almost 150. And he's giving away a $300 advertising package. It doesn't take a rocket science to multiply 150 by 300. And that's his hit today. But I don't care, because being the true narcissist I am, the only thing that I cared about is I did 2 double pops. One on a $350,000 HUD house, and the other one on this other property, all from his little ad. And I'm just leading into something that, you know, he contacted me. He says, oh, I see you sell a lot of this, a lot of that. Why don't you give me a try? I don't want to bother. You know, we're bothered by this stuff we get 100 phone calls a month. Yeah. Oh, we'll guarantee you 20 listings. All you got to do is give us $6,000 up front. And yeah, there's a bridge over there in Brooklyn that's up for sale now. That's a great deal on it. So at any rate, I said, okay, it's free. If it's free, it's for me. So we tried it, and hey, we're sold, we're in. Because for the rest of my life, that ads that I'm running cost me nothing, absolutely nothing. Because when you double up on a $350,000 house, that's $700,000. 700,000 times a 6% commission is a lot of money. So it's a good program. It's free, and it's coming up at the end of the seminar. So anyway, back to the title companies. You have to explain to them what a government entity is. And I think Kevin can explain that more than anyone, because he actually worked from them. These are not human beings we're dealing with. There is no logic. There is no rationale. There's nothing. It's a government entity. Who do you speak to? Do you go to the president? Do you go to the Supreme Court? I don't know. Kevin, who do you go to?
That's a damn good question. Yeah, it's, if you have a question in regards to what? In regards to title? In regards to the government, dealing with the government asset itself? I mean, the contract manager is the ultimate say within the organization that's managing the properties for HUD. And then they have another government body that they need to talk to. If there's a title problem, it's got to go through the asset manager. It's got to go through, in this particular case, Rain, or in other states, Minimier, or I don't even know who is in
the A team's out in California.
There's 18, which is I think a Matt Martin type company, if you worked with them before. So it's the asset manager that needs to answer the questions. Usually the best way to get them is via email because they are usually overwhelmed with phone calls. And then you just got to wait for a response. Provide them with the proofs, and then they have to go to mortgagee compliance with whatever the issues might be for correction. But as Ron said, you're dealing with people with no emotion. It's black and white. It's in their rule book. It's in their handbooks. It's just black and white rules. And that's the way they treat it. So sob stories might make the person you're talking to a little sympathetic on the situation, but it comes down to their rules, which nobody knows all the rules.
Yeah. We're working on the 27 years for you and 23 years for me in the HUD process. We're learning every day. We keep learning. Okay, we are done with this segment of it. Now, this is very important coming up, what you'll see on the screen, because after all the years, they decide to change the rules. And as of March 1st, the rules are changed. And Hana is having a problem. Look at her face. That's what happens when we have Comcast, you know, it just messes up. Are you able?
My whole PowerPoint is messed up. I swear to you, the cat ran across and I can't find anything. I'm looking for it though. I have the new FHA loan limits, but I can't find the 30 days.
Okay, well, the 30 days we can wing, but you can put the new mortgage guidelines up. Well, this doesn't necessarily affect us because in our lifetime, we will never see $1 million HUD house in Pennsylvania or New Jersey. We just won't. Now, I know there were a couple out in California because I checked all the inventory. So HUD has categorized in 3 areas with a 4th, which is Alaska, Hawaii, Guam, and the Virgin Islands, which I don't think anyone here is on from that. But they categorize things in a low-cost area, a mid-range area, and a high-cost area. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Pennsylvania and New Jersey are pretty well low-cost area, where Maine, Florida, Georgia, Alabama might be in the mid-range, and California is, I guess, in a range in itself with Colorado. Now, even if you stick with the low-cost area, that's $420,680. This is in your PowerPoint. Is that correct, Hana? This is important. So if you do get the opportunity, and it doesn't have to be a HUD house, it can be any retail listing you have that, depending on the area that you're in, you can do an FHA mortgage. So on a $420,000 house, in certain areas that have the $100 down program, now this is funny, you can buy a $420,000 house for $100 down, as long as you qualify for the mortgage. Now, we had a property in the Marlton, New Jersey area, which was a nice house. And it was $350,000. And I showed the house to the buyer, and he bid $370. And I explained he was a pharmaceutical executive, and I explained to him the advantages of using HUD's $100 down program. And he said, nah, I can't buy a house for $100 down, especially a house like this. I said, no, really. There's no discrimination at all. $100 down, but you still need the $2,000 deposit, which is your escrow money, which will go toward your closing costs. But wait a minute. We took 3% of the sale price, which was a little over 9,000, and we used that for seller assist. So now we have somebody buying a big house for $100 down and $7,000, $8,000 back on closing costs. It cost him out of his pocket to buy this house, and only because the taxes are so outrageously high in New Jersey, it cost him $6,000 out of his pocket to buy the house. I thought that was great, but it gets better. You have to understand, our clients stay with us for life because they are our best friends now. And I said, listen, here's what you're going to do. If you want to, you make 6 mortgage payments. You have the opportunity to refi your house, save about over, I guess, $1,000 a month on mortgage payments, get rid of the private mortgage insurance. The house is worth right now over $100,000 more than what you paid for it, considering the improvements you put in. You can pull out some cash and buy a few investment properties from me. That's a good idea. Last one. On the chat line. This is a good one. How many HUD properties can an investor buy in one single year? Remember, years ago, they had it limited to 3 and 6, and numbers kept changing. So answer the question, how many HUD properties can an investor buy in one single year? Okay. Time's up. Referee.
What's the answer, Ron?
As many as they can afford.
All right.
Who wins?
Going through here. Hold on.
Okay. I mean, the answer really is no limit, or as many as they can afford, or
Unlimited.
yeah, unlimited.
Can I ask a quick question, or do you want me to wait till this is over?
Matt, give it to Valerie.
Valerie is the winner.
All right, Valerie's the winner.
Way to go, Valerie.
Shoot me your email, drop it in the chat. Thanks, Valerie. Thanks, Pete.
Okay.
So I have a quick question. How do we find out what states have the $100?
Okay. I only know that 3P and 5P, which are from Maine to New Jersey and whatever Pennsylvania covers. I don't know what other states have the $100 down program.
I think Florida.
North Carolina has it.
Florida has it.
Florida has it? Okay,
Last I heard, yeah.
we have people from all over the country here, so just hop on and tell us if your state has the $100 down program.
North Carolina has it.
Atlanta has it?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Good. Okay,
And down the East Coast, it looks like.
if you don't know, there is a number to call. Let me share it with you. It's 800 call FHA. That's how I found out a couple other states.
Alabama.
They will give you the answer, or you can email your asset manager. Do you have the $100 down program available? Some states absolutely do not have it. Now, the last thing we're going to do is the new timeline, and then we're going to go into the big thing.
Hey, Ron, can I interrupt you for a moment?
Of course,
Are you willing to share the PowerPoint presentation?
absolutely.
Okay.
I put my email address in the chat. If anyone wants it, just email me and I'll send it to them.
There we go. Thank you, Hannah.
Hannah, can you put it again so we don't, or do you know what time it was? So we don't have to go back and try to find it.
It's right there.
It's on there now.
Forever and a day, almost, when I first got into this HUD project, it was a 30-day exclusive listing period. Then the inventory, if you can picture in your mind, was gigantic. We had, just our company, we had between 30 and 50 active assets at one time, every month. Well, guess what? We don't have that now. Not even close. So what HUD is do, what they did is they changed the 30-day to 15-day owner occupant period. Now with inventory down to almost zero in some areas, they raised it up to 30 days. And I had a few questions that I even asked HUD yesterday because I didn't know the answers. And unfortunately, either did they. So I'm going to say it's a to be determined. We don't know. Well, this starts March 1st. I don't know if it just starts with the new inventory that comes in March 1st, or if it reverts back to everything we have that's active. That'll be a 30-day time period. I have no idea. Zero. HUD had no idea. So I'm going to say that it's a to be determined. Property comes in, it's 30 days owner occupant. We don't know if it's the first 10 days are going to be simultaneous, meaning all the bids that come in, the first 10 days are open day 11, and then it goes daily for the next days. I don't know. I have no idea. Today is February 24th. Hopefully, HUD will send out a notice or something that I'll know. Does anyone, like Kevin, Bill, were you able to find out that information? I guess.
What was that again, Ron? I'm sorry.
The new inventory is coming in March 1st. It's a 30-day owner occupant time period.
That is correct. Now,
Will the old inventory that is in the MLS as whatever, is that going to revert to the 30-day time period, or is that going to remain the same as it is?
I don't know the exact answer, and I could be incorrect, but as it's always been, new inventory that comes in effective on the 1st would be subject, any new listings that start on March 1st would be subject to the 30 days. So if
Right.
something's listed with a 15-day owner occupancy period and they're into their second round and their 5 days is up, or the 5 days is up, and the new listing period comes out on that Tuesday, it should not be. But again, HUD changes the rules. So they could turn around and say, sorry, if it's not sold, it's now subject to 30 days.
Okay, so it's a to be determined. I guess we'll find out. I guess we'll find out by March 1st. But just, yeah,
most likely not. Most likely it'll be anything that's new that comes onto the market effective that day on the 1st.
yeah, we will find out. So that pretty well covers this. Make sure that you make a copy of, if you can do a screenshot, because that came right from a mortgagee letter. Ben, you're up next. You're going to give away, as it stands now, 131 times 3. But you're going to be giving away a lot of money, Ben. Anyway, I'd like to introduce you to Ben Barber, who is the sales manager for Property Simple. They have, Ben, are you there?
Yep. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can see you there. Yeah.
Loud and clear? Perfect.
Ben has a program which made me, like I explained before, a lot of money. And he wants to promote this. Obviously, you can do with it what you want. It does not. This is how we market all our HUD properties. You can market any property with this. And it's worth $299. It's free. You're not going to give him a credit card. You're not going to give him anything except your name, and he's going to give you a link.
Yeah, I just posted the link in the chat there, so I'll post it again as I'm going through the presentation. And I don't want to take up too much time, but just want to give you guys kind of a quick overview of kind of how Property Simple works.
You got 15 minutes, Ben.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then
Awesome.
and then we got properties to sell. But
That's right.
But in all seriousness, with all the advertising companies out there that promise you they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And before you start, I'm going to tell you what I did. On our last property we had on Montgomery Avenue, I prepare an MLS sheet. I attach property condition report and all the disclosures. I combine it into one PDF, and it's there. We had 44 responses from that one property in 3 days. And the good part about it is we were on a 10-day owner occupant period. Now it's a 30-day owner occupant period. So I can extend my ads out if I choose, but I don't choose to because I usually sell it to the first person who's interested in it. So we had all those responses. You do get a lot of phony phone phone numbers that they make up, but that's the way it goes. But the email can't be phony because it's coming from a source that I have no idea how they get the right email. And I don't really care. That's their problem, not mine. I get the lead. The leads come in on an hourly basis. As soon as I get the lead, I send the email out. If you're interested, great. This is the best buy we ever had in this area. All you need is $100 down if you need a mortgage, and so on and so forth. And it works. Time's yours.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Ron. And yeah, we've got some pretty amazing tools with Property Simple to help you stay in front of your audience, get in front of new people as well on social media. I've got a little presentation here that I can go through so you get a better idea of, what Property Simple involves. And I'll tell you a little story of how Property Simple got started. Our founder, our CEO, is from Scottsdale, Arizona. He was running a software business, kind of a development company for many years. And his dad, who was originally actually involved in kind of local politics, he had a pretty good network. He got involved into real estate, and he started using kind of his sphere of influence to get the ball rolling in his business. And he was able to build it up to 1 million people. And then, he asked his son, Adrian, you're using social media to grow your business. You're having great success. How can I use social media for my business to have similar success with real estate? And so Adrian, with the development team that he had, he created a tool to really automate the social media process. We're all familiar with guys like Tom Ferry, who always preach, the more they see you, the more they know you, the more they like you, the more likely they are to do business with you. And that's our philosophy at Property Simple as well, is using social media, staying top of mind with your audience. And also we have tools to help you reach new people and grow your audience and find local buyers and sellers with social media. So, Property Simple, we have an in-house marketing team that creates content for you. So we can post content that will engage your audience on your Facebook business page, your Twitter account, your LinkedIn account. Our system can get connected to your profiles and then automate the posting process for you, as well as the content creation. So our team takes care of creating the content and posting it. And really nice thing about it is it's just set it and forget it. So you connect your social media and then we take care of the rest. Our content, we've got a team that has background in journalism, background in real estate as well. So they create the articles. We put on your name, your phone number, your headshot. So every article is actually branded to you and kind of looks like you wrote the article as well, which is really, really nice. We have collections as well. So for people who are familiar with Pinterest, if you know how Pinterest works, maybe you've done, home office hacks where you put together different ideas for how to optimize your home office space. You create, a special board or collection for that. Maybe you do, a board for, 2022 barbecue recipes for the summer, and you put together some recipes that you want to try. This is similar with collections, but specifically designed for real estate. So with our national property portal, you can scroll through, select any listing in our portal, and you can create a collection for maybe local luxury listings or my favorite properties or townhomes under 400K. And you can create a collection, which is a landing page, which automatically gets posted to your social media for you as well. And, this is another sample here. My favorites in South Scottsdale under 300K. Really simple, really easy to create your own landing pages here. We also have video ads. And so what Ron was referring to before was you get your own ads as well. in 3 clicks, you can create an ad for either a new to market ad, open house, price reduction, or just sold if you're looking for buyers. And every ad comes with a listing video like this one. Awesome. So we actually teamed up with the same Italian video software company that works with Spotify, Airbnb, Facebook, Bloomberg, a lot of big brands to create video content. And you on Facebook, you've probably seen you've been friends with so-and-so for 7 years, and then it throws together a cute little video with a bunch of photos. That company is Ilio, based in Italy, and we teamed up with them to create special real estate templates. So we're enabling real estate agents to use that same professional video technology in their marketing as well. So the whole idea here is, you don't need to study or be professional or hire, marketing agency to take care of your social media. We've got the whole system set up so that, it's just plug and play. Our system saves you time with our automation tools. And we also have a new feature as well for zip codes where you can sponsor your local zip code. It's exclusive to one single agent. So not like Zillow where you're competing with 6 or 7 or 10 or 11 different agents, just one agent per zip code. And I posted a link there in the chat. So if you want to schedule time to obviously go ahead, get set up your free account. We'll help you connect your social media, set you up with a 2 months free of the marketing plan with the automated posting. But if you do want to look at zip codes or other tools, obviously, we'll be able to help you with that. And I'll take advantage of the last couple minutes here and just jump into an actual account. So you get a better idea for, what happens inside here. So we have here, and I think you can still see my screen. We have the dashboard with the social media campaign schedule. So every week this gets updated and we put in a rotation of content. So to Twitter, to Facebook, LinkedIn, you can see what is going out for the rest of this week. We have your profile here. You can edit it, customize the landing page with your contact details. There's also a spiffy video business card that we post to your social media. And again, this is with that Italian company. You're able to customize the video business card. It comes for free with the free 2 months as well. You're able to create these every single month. You can update it as well. Over here is the content tab. This is really the headquarters for the automated posting. You're able to connect your Facebook business page, your Twitter, your LinkedIn. All of that is able to get connected, and you're able to set the posting frequency. So I recommend personally just posting every day, maximizing your engagement, your views, so you can stay top of mind with your digital sphere of influence. We have your content mix as well. So if you want to customize it a little bit, you can select what content you want to include. You can have your listings posted automatically, those collections, the video business card, articles, etc. If you're working in a luxury market, for example, maybe you don't want to include home improvement tips, so you can just unclick that, and that way you're removing those types of articles. We also have the content library here, so you can see all the content we have in store. And the nice thing is you can filter and also do custom captions. So if you click, let's say the edit button here, you can put in a call to action. If you want to put in your phone number or a special offer that you have on, you can just type in here. You see a nice little preview. and you're able to save that caption. And the next time that post goes out, we're going to be sure to include the customized caption there. And just for the sake of time, I know Ron was talking about his experience. He actually sent in a little clip about him talking about his experience following up with the leads from his ad. So I'll go ahead and play this.
Hi there, folks. My name is Ron Rudolph. I'm an associate broker with Century 21 Advantage Gold in Philadelphia and New Jersey. We specialize in REO and HUD properties, and I was formerly the #1 agent in the United States. Now, I always try to keep ahead of the game. So there's this new company coming out, or they were out, called Property Simple. They offered me a free ad. Anything for free, it's for me. So I said, sure. So we placed the ad. They placed the ad. I got 17 calls from it and double popped a $340,000 property just from the Property Simple ad. Definitely worth it. It'll pay for my ads for the rest of my life. Have a great year, a great Thanksgiving, a great Christmas, and a great New Year. And for a few dollars, they'll run the ad, you'll sell the property, and everybody's happy. Take care.
Yeah, and so we get videos like this from a lot of clients, sharing their testimonials, their success with Property Simple. Real estate marketing doesn't have to be complicated. If you have the right systems in place, and this is something I tell to every agent, if you want to grow your business, you either need to hire more people or you need to hire technology. I prefer hiring technology just because it removes a bit of a human element where things can go wrong, there can be mistakes. And Property Simple, really fits the bill there if you're looking to generate more leads, if you're looking to automate your social media. People are going to Google you when they hear your name if they want to work with you. And you want to make sure that your social media profiles are active. You have constant posts every single day so people know you're in business, you're professional, you do a good job. So that's, part of the importance there. We have different ways of generating leads in the CRM. And just to finish up, when you do, run an ad, or if you claim a zip code, you get, a steady flow of leads coming in from social media. And of course, we pull in the name, the email, the phone number. Our CRM is, a bunch of great features, which, we could go through. But once again, there's a link in the chat there where you can schedule your one-on-one call, and we can jump into another account where you can see some responses, see what kind of people you're able to connect with. 4 or 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, people, follow up and let you know what they're looking for. That is the presentation for Property Simple. Hopefully it's short and sweet. And you get 2 free months with the marketing plan, which includes the auto posting here. So if you click that link, it'll take you over to this Calendly, where you're able to as well just select a time that works for you, works for your schedule. And then, we'll have a Zoom link sent to you. You can jump on Zoom, get your social media connected, and you have 2 free months of the automated posting. Absolutely free, no credit card necessary. We'll have someone reach out to you, help you get set up, and answer any questions you might have, share best practice tips, and also they'll be your social media coach. So any questions at all, you can chat with them, and we'll be more than happy to.
Would you put the link back up, Ben?
Yes, I just posted it again in the chat. So you can go ahead, use that Calendly link. It'll bring you here. I can see some times getting booked up. So make sure you go ahead and book it when you have a chance there.
Leave it back up so people can take a cell phone picture of it.
Sure. So here at the top, it's calendly.com/PS coaches/special offer. So just click that link. You should be able to see the calendar pop up there. And it's also in the chat. You can just click there to view.
Thank you, Ben.
Hey.
Just get your checkbook out. That's all.
Yeah, I can see a lot of people are booking time already. So that's great. And, 2 free months, that's, a huge bonus. If someone's a newer agent, new to social media, we're happy to kind of.
Well, the good part about it is if you don't have a listing yourself, use one of the office listings. Your broker will love it. And this way you promote yourself, you get a sale and you say, geez, that was really worth the 2 hours I spent. It was, because it's free. I hope everyone enjoyed this this little workshop. We're gonna probably have another one in a couple months. We're in March. What, about April, Hannah? Does that work? Yeah, that's good. But none of us are getting married. We're okay. Good. All right. So we're going to probably have another workshop in April. And if you have any comments about this workshop, and I have one thing to say before that, is if you are a HUD listing broker and you want to put on a program like this, remember, this is not done overnight. There are hours that go into preparing a national Zoom program. And to the best of my knowledge, the Greater Philadelphia Association of Realtors is the only association in the entire country that does national Zoom training, which is amazing. So if you're a broker and we have to do training, that's part of our contract. We have a good crew in Jersey and Pennsylvania, and true, everyone is our competitors, and we recognize that. But we also recognize we have no control over who gets the listings. So let's be friends and work together. So this was basically a joint venture between our company, Bill Flagg's company, and Kevin Wallace's company. There has to be some synergism. You have to work together in this business. And we have someone out in California whose name escapes me now, who's also part of our little group. So contact your local real estate board. Sell them on the idea of training with Zoom. Don't go national because they'll get very nervous. But do it locally. Get a training program. If you want to use mine, you go right ahead because I stole it from somebody else. But we tweaked it a little bit, so it works. But Hana is great. We made it generic, so you can use it in any state. Excuse me, because the rules are the same. No rules change on this PowerPoint. Hopefully in 2 or 3 years, when this pandemic is over, we'll be able to get back to the classroom, which is where we taught, and we'll do our little thing in the classroom. But until then, I did not even know what a Zoom was pre-pandemic. Not a clue. The only Zoom that I knew is the Z that was on the back of my Lincoln, my MKZ. Yeah, you're shaking your head, Stephanie, right? Okay. That's the only Zoom I know. I didn't know it's Zoom. But being ex-military for 12 years, I learned how to adapt and improvise. And I'm a quick learner. So in a short period of time, and with Matt's help, and Matt is the CEO of the Greater Philadelphia Association of Realtors, I threw out the idea of, let's go national, let's go big time. And he thought about it for about 3 or 4 seconds and he was all in. And this association, this Realtors Association is known now throughout the country. If you want any tips or anything that you might need in getting a presentation presented to do your training, there's 4 people you can get a hold of that are on here, which is Kevin Wallace, Bill Flagg, Ron Rudolph, and Hana Lapteff. The 4 of us will be more than glad to help you get your first training. And if you want us to appear, we will. We'll give you a time. We'll give you an afternoon, a morning, or an evening, and it might be good to do an evening one. We did an evening one, but it was in person. We had a full house because we recognize that there are a lot of part-time agents, right, in our profession that want to see what's going on. They want to learn. If they can sell 2 or 3 other houses a year, just the HUD houses, make $10,000, and that's what it's all about. We're not philanthropists. We don't work for nothing, and we earn what we make. And it's just getting more, I find it's just getting more difficult as the days and the weeks go by with the inventory. And like I said before, and I'll end it here, HUD is the only level playing field that you have out there now. If you're good enough to get that buyer up, and I'll give you one more little tip. Let's say the house is $100,000. Naturally, the buyer turns around and he wants to set you up. Well, how much would you pay for it? I wouldn't pay anything for it, but I have a house. Well, how much would you bid? Well, Mr. Buyer, Mrs. Buyer, little buyers, it's not how much you want to pay for it. It's how much are you willing to lose it for? And the question is, well, what do you mean by that? Well, let's just say the house is $100,000, but you don't want to lose this house. So if somebody bid 103, would you bid 104.5? Yeah, I'm 104.5, sure. Psychologically, you know your starting point is 104.5. Well, fine. If somebody bid the 104.5, would you go 106? Well, I got to think about that. Yeah, I probably would. Now, we're dealing in psychology. We're not dealing in common sense. So your starting point now is 106. But he said, I won't spend any more than, and this is what really happens. I won't spend any more than 106. Okay, I tell you what. Why don't we throw an offer in for 106 and you pick 5 lucky numbers? Well, what do you mean by that? Well, pick the kids' birthdays, the day you got married, whatever. So we'll go in at $106,432.15. Where do you get that number from? Oh, right out of the thin air, I get it from. That's got to be as good a shot as anything, or you pick the numbers. So automatically you have got that buyer up from 100,000 to 106 and change, or even higher. And it's really sad because we had a really nice house that Hana was in love with in Riverside, New Jersey, which was listed for $150,000. Oh, yes. It was a 6-bedroom, 4-bath single, 2.5 blocks from the water. It was knocked out, drop dead gorgeous. 150. I got a buyer. He goes 185. I went out and spent the money. I booked a cruise. I'm ready to go. No one's going to beat my 185. The bids come, 250. It was worth it. She's laughing. It was worth the 250 because today it's worth 400. And this was the middle of last year. So I don't know where this is going to end, but I hope you enjoyed it. We have fun in what we do. Like I said, if you do need any assistance or help in setting up a Zoom training, we'll always be glad to help you. Thank you. Have a blessed week and take care.
All right, thanks, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Ron. Great job, as usual. And take care, everybody. Have a great
Thanks,
evening.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it.
Thank
Best
you
of luck,
very
Ben.
much.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
All right.
And